70. Last week, there was a reported tense and emotional meeting regarding Kawhi's playing status. Then on Friday, Tony Parker called out Kawhi, saying his quad injury last year was, quote, 100 times worse. We're joined by FS1 NBA analyst Stephen Jackson. Welcome. Tony and Kawhi are your former teammates.
Yes.
So how big of a problem do you have with what Tony said?
Well, it just bothers me because if somebody said that about Tony, they'd probably be off the team. They'd probably be shipped out this morning. You know, and that's just what it is. We all know Pop got his guys.
Right.
Tim, Ginobili, and Tony. There's a lot of times that he teaches through these guys. There's a lot of times that the only way he can get through the team is by making an example of these guys.
And by the way, once upon a time, you kind of publicly challenged Ginobili's playing time, and you were in the doghouse, right?
I actually got traded,
Yeah.
actually, a week before the playoffs because I actually was dominating them in practice, and I talk trash when I play. And I guess he felt like I was disrespecting Ginobili and those other guys because they were playing before me, and he got me traded. That was fine. I'd rather be traded knowing I'm doing my job, you know. But the respect for Pop was never lost. As a coach, as a mentor, as a father figure, that respect will always be there. And my frustration is not with him because we all know that anything that goes on with the team, he has his hands on.
Right.
If you know anything about the Spurs, nothing goes on in that organization without Pop knowing. Tony's character is not the type of character to get in your face. You need to come play. My injury is worse than yours.
Right.
Ginobili is definitely not that guy. He is the most professional guy I've ever played with. Great teammate, gonna come to work, hurt or not hurt, he's gonna play.
Right.
That's just Ginobili's character. He's a dog.
You know?
So for this to come out and for Tony to come out and say his injury was 100 times worse, somebody put a battery in his back. And it had to come from up top. Tony, this is not your character. I don't think Kawhi would ever come out and degrade Tony or Ginobili because he has too much respect for him.
Right.
So for Tony to do that, I know it came from up top, and it was real low on Tony Park.
Yeah. I tried to tell Chris Broussard, Chris, only this the other day, I said when they called this meeting, they tried to strong arm, tried to guilt this man into playing. That's what they called the meeting for. This was not a meeting about, see, the thing is with Skip, now, if I don't show up for work for a while, this your show. Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Yeah, we co-host, but this is your show. So I owe you a little gratitude. But Joy better not ask me. I mean, Joy, my girl, but Joy better not ask me when I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me and Joy cool, but we stay it out.
I know. I'm not checking on you when you don't show up.
So I got to be here because I ain't gonna let Skip outdo me. He think he get the jump on me. But I told you what they were doing, Skip. They tried to strong arm Kawhi into playing.
Strong arm's too strong.
No, they strong arm.
Just challenge
Killed
him. You can guilt. You can try guilt. But it's more of a challenge of the competitor that they have seen in Kawhi Leonard. Where are you? What are you? What's happened to you? And again, Tony Parker, I read and heard, called this meeting, but I'm with you. I think Pop or R.C. Buford, the GM, somehow worked through Tony to call this meeting because it's not like Tony to call players-only meetings, right? So he calls the meeting, and what if you can call it strong arm? They just challenged him. Maybe challenge his manhood or his playerhood, if you will, just to, where are you, man? We're hanging in and hanging on for dear life. We're 43-31 without you. You're our best player. We're in the 6th seed without you, which is not that bad in the Western Conference.
It's not the norm for the Spurs.
It's not the norm.
1 or 2 seed.
Right.
Okay, but for stretches this year, they haven't had LaMarcus, and they haven't had Gasol, and they haven't had Ginobili, and they haven't had Rudy Gay, and they're still hanging in. And if you put Kawhi right in the middle of that mix, trust me, they're good enough to win the West if they got hot and he got right. So they're frustrated beyond frustration because Kawhi talks to nobody. You know him pretty well, but he's pretty tight-lipped, probably even with you, and you're pretty close with him. He just doesn't share a lot of what he's thinking or feeling. So finally, the team said, let's just bring him in, and maybe he'll open up to us with no coaches in the room and tell us where he is and what his prognosis is. Do you have any timetable here? Could you maybe come back in a week? Because remember, as Ginobili said, we got fooled a week ago Thursday.
Right.
Remember when all the reports it was out of Kawhi's camp. You know, some of his insiders are saying our target date is March 15th, and everybody circled March 15th, Thursday night home game. Nope. And Ginobili, you want to talk about dog, he's got dog in him, and he's like, I waited until March 15th, and Kawhi, you weren't there for me. And I'm living and dying for this team, because remember, look, for what it's worth, Ginobili and Tony Parker have 4 rings. You've been there with them.
Yeah.
They got 4, and Ginobili led Argentina to a gold medal in the Olympics. Not that easy to do, right?
Not at all.
Okay, so these are decorated players who just want to know that a kid they respect, a kid who has all the ability in the world, who could be the leader of this franchise, is mysteriously unavailable for them, and they still don't get it. So Tony, you can say he reached, but I'm going to back him up. His injury is 100 times worse than Kawhi's injury because he tore his quadriceps muscle. It ruptured in half in a game against Houston in which he had already scored 21 after he'd scored 27 in the closeout game against Memphis in Game 6 in Memphis.
Right.
Okay, he was playing at a pretty supremely high level, and he ruptures his quad. And Kawhi gets kneed in the quad early this year, and he's still not right. What do you think Ginobili and Parker are going to say?
Yeah, but here's the thing. When you bring a player in and they call a meeting and everybody says, we want to have a meeting with you, Kawhi. Well, his intent is already up. He's already guarded.
His guard is up.
He's already guarded. Because what you bringing me in here for, what are we talking about? Because normally injured players, they're not coming in there.
You're on the hot seat.
Right,
Man.
so he already knows.
Yep.
So, I mean, Skip, he's not the guy, Skip. And I said this from day one. It's hard for me to believe that he's dogging it or there's not something wrong with him. Maybe it's not pull. Maybe he can do, and I get the point that he's playing 3-on-3 with the videographers and all that. But playing videographers and playing in an NBA game is something entirely different. But Skip, I knew this was going to happen, and I told you when it first started happening, because you look at his personality, you know this is not going to end well. You know they're going to have to move on.
No.
You know they're going to have to move on.
In this challenge meeting, this strong arming, it worked to the negative because it just drove him away.
Yep.
Yeah,
like he dug in now.
Well, and then too, like, okay, this is the same guy that Tony and the whole organization is patting on the back when he Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
When you win championships. Like, it's easy to degrade or point the finger at somebody when things are not going well. They're not used to being in this position in San Antonio. They're definitely not. So it's easy now. They're showing that they're just like everybody else. They're normal. Because when everybody go through a little something, they start pointing fingers.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're doing. So they're not showing that they know different organization than anyone else.
Right.
And for Tony, like I said, for Tony to do this now at the point of his career, you're not even a factor on this team right now. Tony,
He
let's
is
be
not
honest.
a factor, and I agree with
You're not
you.
even a factor. And
That's
really,
why-
you're not a leader of this team anymore.
Now, if LaMarcus Aldridge, you could understand if LaMarcus, but as a player that Tony is in now, you can't
You can't
be
say
the
that, Tony.
leader.
Ginobili out there running around at 41 years old playing every game.
Yeah.
He can say something because he's the oldest guy on the team. And he actually plays hurt. He actually gives his
And
all.
you know
I can't
what?
say the same about Tony.
Ginobili's still a big factor in what they do.
I agree.
He is.
I agree.
I've told you, he's made some case for me. I can't show you the numbers, but he is a 6th Man of the Year candidate because every time he comes in, he changes the game.
Tony would have came better. Tony would have came out better, Skip.
Yeah.
Pulling Kawhi to the side himself.
Exactly.
Like Joy. If Joy got something to say to Shannon, Joy gonna pick up the phone and call. You know I ain't got email, right?
Yes,
Okay.
we're aware.
Joy gonna call me.
Wait a second. You got email?
No, he doesn't have.
I thought you said you got it.
No.
That's a new breakthrough, right?
He does have Instagram though.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
But
Instagram. I got
It's
Instagram.
not advanced enough for you.
Yeah. But see, that's what you do. Joy got a problem with you.
No, I got it.
But
Unless
Tony-
Steven's right, and Pop said,
No, but
Parker, you
hey,
do this.
No. Don't you see Pop like to push Tony up and got his cap peeled. Because that situation, Skip, just go to him and say, Pop, I think it would be better. You know who you can deal with. Now, you know how Kawhi is. You've been around Kawhi. All my teammates, I know who to joke with. I know who not to joke
Got
with.
it.
I know who to take stuff from and mess with. I know who not to. You know Kawhi. You know he's not a guy that's receptive to that kind of.
Pop know that. When he asked me to say some guys was better than me, before he asked me that question in the 14, he knew my response. He knew I was going to go crazy and say I wasn't. So he knew what I was going to. The same reaction that Kawhi gave them, they knew what reaction. Like I said, Ginobili, I know he's handling everything right. I wish Ginobili would have pulled him aside because he's a fair guy. I even remember in 03 won the championship, Ginobili pulled me to the side after the Western Conference Finals and told me I deserved to be MVP of the Western Conference Finals.
Really?
From his own mouth. So from that day forward, we build a bond, and I knew he was fair at all times.
Right.
So I know for Tony to do this, somebody put a battery in his back, because I know Gino would do this to embarrass Kawhi or to try to belittle him in no type of way, because he's a great teammate. And Tony was definitely wrong for this, especially coming out in the media.
And I know you once upon a time had some issue with Tony. What was it? You lost Oklahoma City in 20.
Even in 03.
But how about 2014? 14.
OKC.
Yep. And you were hot, and he said not.
And I watched the game millions of times, and
Yep.
I'm talking about he only threw the ball when he had to. And it's just facts, Skip. You know, I'm not bitter at all. I still have my championship. You know, I'm not bitter at all, but people don't like facts. They expect everything to be peaches and cream coming from San Antonio, and that's not realistic.
Right.
Everybody goes through ups and downs, and this is the situation they in.
Tony Parker's got some diva in him. We all know that.
No question.
And
A lot of diva.
a lot of diva, but he backed it up. That year in 07, he was the NBA Finals MVP.
Yes.
And then he married a movie star after that over in Paris, and he was at his height and glory, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Lee Kawhi, you know, Skip.
Yeah.
If you around guys long enough, like you when you around somebody, you know who you can talk to, what you can say, how you can say it. Don't you, Joy? You know certain people.
But you know what? It was a last desperate act on the part of this team.
Oh, it was desperate, Skip.
You know,
it was
it
definitely
was.
desperate. They're not used to being in this position. They used to be at the top.
Do you think I'm gonna let Mike talk me up? Hey, I need you to go and say something to 7. Huh? I wish like, there's certain guys know, but you got to know how to say it. And certain things, Skip, and I've talked to guys, and there have been times the coach, okay, I want you, but I'm gonna talk to him in such a way that I'm joking. You know, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm gonna say it in such a way he think I'm joking.
Some people need to be spoken to.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having this talk if it was Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
gotta watch the quiet ones.
100 times.
Steve will be back later in the show. Will Ndamukong Suh make the Rams a
fault,
Super
Skip.
Bowl contender? We'll discuss that with Rob Parker next.
It's Skip's fault.
It probably